The billionaire line in palmistry. There is no one line or palmar marking in palmistry that can reveal if we're going to be a millionaire or a billionaire. However, there are lots of different indications, palmar markings and features in the hands that can show us if we're going to make a lot of money, come into a lot of money, or have the ability to make money. So in this video, I'm going to reveal what these palmar markings are, what the features are in a palm that can help us make money, that will allow us to make money, or that will show us if we're going to come into money. And I've got Bill Gates here because he's a good example. There are lots of common features in very wealthy people's palms, and I'm going to reveal a few of those in this video. So the first thing I want to go over are the qualities that very wealthy people have in their hands, and that's relevant because there's a common denominator there. So one of the key features, and I'm going to go over the shape of the hands and fingers first. This is an element of palmistry known as chirognomy. Now, one of the key sort of features in very wealthy people's palms is they tend very often to be square, and the fingers tend to be on the longish side, particularly the second phalanges of the fingers tend to be quite long, and that's indicative of someone who is good with numbers, good at making managerial decisions, particularly good with numeracy, understanding the value of things as well, and have quite a logical and sort of scientific mind. Also, the squared off fingered tips as well, and this goes in line with the square palm, and this provides a sort of a reliability, a logical way of thinking, practical way of thinking, order and routine, facts. This is and again, this is in line with a sort of a numerical mind, a numbers person. And so these kinds of people with these features already make people who are able to assess situations based on fact and make decisions outside of their emotions. The other features which will commonly be seen in very wealthy people's palms is quite a long phalanx of Mercury. This first tip of Mercury needs to be on the longish side, or at least that helps with intuition. And again, lunar here as well, if this is quite a raised and pronounced, well-developed mount in the palm, this will also help with intuition. And we can see all these signs that I've already mentioned here in Bill Gates' palm. And lunar here is a place of perceiving and understanding, just instinctively knowing. It's this place of instinct and intuition, as well as many other things, but it's a very unconscious side of the brain and the mind. And so when we sometimes make snap decisions, when we have to jump on a certain opportunity when the time arises, lunar helps us with this as well as Mercury. And one of the more obvious signs in the palm for very wealthy people is known as the money line. And this is, in a way, it's an extension of the Mercury line, or the intuition line, or the health line, the liver line, as it's sometimes known as. The intuition line is, in a way, it's a bit different to the lines I've just mentioned. They, in a way, they're all different names for the same line, and you'll see this reaching down towards the lifeline. Now, when you see the Mercury line branching from the fate line, as we see here, this shows that intuition is directly linked to a person's path in life, their duty, their sense of their projects, their sense of their sense of purpose, what they're driven to do. And it shows that they have a direct sort of instincts with this chosen path in life. And also, we almost always see a very strong Mercury or intuition line in very successful or wealthy business people. This is a line that you will always see in business people, businessmen and women. The intuition line, in my opinion, is the same line, but just has a gentle curve to it. And a curve, sometimes to a line, creates a bit more sort of versatility and a bit more extrasensory perception almost. And often you see when a headline does the same thing, it creates that creativity in a person, an imaginative sort of unconscious response to ideas and thoughts. And so a similar thing sort of happens there with the Mercury line. When it has a gentle curve, it creates that extrasensory intuition. Now, another key feature about the palm, in order to achieve in life, we need a strong thumb. And by strong, I mean a good thickness, but also a good length as well. But it's very important to have an equal length of will and logic. Logic is this place of ideas and imagination. This is where we use our mind. But these two in conjunction together, they need to be ideally level, because this means that they are using their determination in line with their thoughts. They are neither too pushy nor too meek. So generally speaking, when we have someone that has too much will and not enough logic, they are likely to use their sort of physicality, their brawn, rather than their brain. And when we have too much logic and not enough willpower, we don't have the determination to see our ideas through. We're more likely to get pushed around and do the pushing, and also there'll be lots of loose ends. This is often someone with too many irons in the fire. So it's important to have an equal length of both willpower and logic, but also an equal thickness of the two as well. And it's important to have the right length of thumb as well, because this shows an overall ability to a capacity for ideas and the drive to put them into action. Certain people with a very long thumb can get very far in life, although they might not necessarily make a lot of money. This is one of the key features in making sure that we can put our ideas into action. Now, moving on to some of the more finer points in palmistry, as far as making money is concerned, we have here an inheritance line. Now, this little line here appears to be part of the girdle of Venus, which wraps around from in between Jupiter and Saturn and works its way up in between Apollo and Mercury. However, when you see just a little line that's deep here that creeps in and it kind of points towards the sun line, the success line, which, by the way, is probably the most important and obvious feature when assessing the abilities to make money in the palm, and I'll get to that. The inheritance line points towards a fruitful kind of financial end towards a person's life, their career. It points towards making money and a financial golden road ahead. And you often see it in the palms of wealthy people, because money breeds money, in a sense, I suppose, old money. So sometimes wealthy people make their money. You need money to make money. And so sometimes people, they're already wealthy, but when their parents pass on, they inherit wealth as well. So this is one of the signs. But a continuation of this line is sometimes known as the passion line, and it can reach right down from this same place here in between Apollo and Mercury and reach right down onto the heart line. And this passion line, as it's sometimes referred to as, can show us that we put our heart and mind and body and soul into everything we do. We're very driven, but more than that, it comes from a place of almost spiritual purpose. And you might be thinking that Bill Gates has this here. However, he doesn't. This is a change line. This line runs right through the heart line and touches the lifeline. And this is a completely different meaning. However, that's for a different video. Now then, hitting on one of the more obvious notes is the success line, and it's the line that is sometimes referred to as the sun line or the Apollo line. And the success line, often in most people's palms, it stems from the heart line itself, and this is an indication that a person's wealth is amassed through support by their partner or relationship. And this is because when we marry, we kind of pool our money together, we buy our houses with our partners. This is kind of what this represents, or at least it hints at this. And it also shows that wealth doesn't really begin until sort of 53 and onwards, or at least comfortable income. But when we see a success line that stems from fate line, now this is a real sign of someone whose almost purpose in life is to make money. They're very money-minded, very driven by the idea of finance. It also shows that they will make their wealth at a very early age, or far earlier on in life than most would. They begin making a lot of money very early on, but when compared with the average person. In a way, it could be seen as money is, in a sense, their career, or part of their career, joined with their career, as the fate line is also known as the career line. In the case of Bill Gates, we actually have a success line that stems from a branch that reaches onto his fate line. So we have here the beginnings of success at a very early age, probably about 19 or so. And as I say, this is tied directly to the career. And I've created a whole video on the success line, how to read the success line, sun line, Apollo line, call it what you will, and I'll put the description, the link for that video in the description of this one. Now, another sign of a very sort of wealthy, a sign of gaining wealth in the palm is a double fate line. And this is a sign that a person has a sort of a dual purpose, an extra ambition, a secondary project, a secondary income, as is a second sun line. And the sun line will mirror the fate line, and you can read and corresponding events from the sun line to the fate line. A secondary fate line is a sign of an assisting force alongside someone's purpose, their projects, and it can create this. It shows that a person has almost twice the purpose in life. It shows that someone has an extraordinary amount of drive and energy and effort and creativity, passion, depending on other signs in the palm. Now, another sign I see a lot of the time people talk about in palmistry videos is this sign right here, and it's known as the money triangle. Now, I don't subscribe all that much meaning to this sign, because actually what you have here is the headline, the fate line, which everybody has, and then you have the Mercury line. Now, not everyone has this Mercury line, but without this Mercury line, you don't have the triangle. So in fact, all this really means it's just a neat convergence of lines that's only created by the Mercury line or the intuition line, which I've already talked about in this video. So really, there is no such thing as the money triangle, in my opinion. This is simply a money line. Now, the last and final kind of key feature I want to talk about in this video are fingerprints. Now, this is a part of palmistry known as dermatoglyphics, and the key fingerprint pattern for business-minded people, strong and successful money makers, is the whirl fingerprint. And it looks a little something like this. This is the whirl fingerprint. Now, as the name suggests, you can see the whirl here, but it's also often accompanied by what's known as tri-radi. And I've just drawn examples of both the, these triangular formations that kind of support the whirl either side. This is generally how the whirl fingerprint is seen. It's seen in the middle, and it's supported either side by this sort of triangular formation of the ridge skin patterns in the fingerprint. So this is quite a new aspect of palmistry. It's known as dermatoglyphics, is about 400 years old. Now, the whirl fingerprint, it appears on people who are very closed off in their opinions, but they're often very correct in those opinions, especially when all of the other signs that I've mentioned are there. So the square fingers, the long fingers, the long second phalanges, all of the signs I've mentioned, because they are fact-driven, they're numbers-driven, and so when they make their minds up, there's a good reason for it. So the more whirls seen on the fingerprints, the more likely they are to be successful in business, and leaders, teachers, to pave the way. They're very stubborn, they're very headstrong with more whirls. Lots of whirls were seen on the palms of Einstein. I believe he had 8. JF Kennedy, Martin Luther King, You know, these are very determined, ambitious, driven leaders, pioneers. And so, you know, these are decision makers and very, very successful. And depending on how much money meant to these people, obviously managed to amass wealth as well. So this is another key sign of someone who is able to make money in palmistry. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I just wanted to end on a note that kind of squashes a bit of a stigma around palmistry. We use terms like inheritance line, money line, billionaire line. These ideas, the way we interpret palmistry has changed. The palms themselves have never really changed. When we look at Neolithic man, the money line, the inheritance line, these lines were still there, you know, marriage lines, although these concepts didn't exist at the time. So it's only really our interpretation that changes. The lines in our palms have always really been there. The lines never lie. It's only we as people that have differing opinions about what these things mean. So let me know what your thoughts are on the things I've discussed in this video, and you know, whether or not you've seen contradictory information online and that you disagree with me. I'd like to know what your thoughts are, and also whether or not you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a like, please subscribe, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.